Welcome, students. Week 4, continuation of epistemology. First of all, in introduction, looking at our base, our knowledge base, you may or may not be familiar with the patterns of knowing in nursing. Oh, my dog wants up. Okay. Nursing has a long history of exploring the concept of knowing, specific to the discipline. It's been important to the discipline to define what nursing knowing is and how nurses come to know what is nursing knowledge. Carper published in 1978, so quite a while ago. She conducted an extensive literature search and identified 4 patterns of knowing in nursing: empirical, personal, aesthetic, and ethical. White came along in 1995 and reviewed and adapted the ways of knowing, and she added socio-political knowing. Now, Chin and Kramer added something they called emancipatory knowing, which has pretty much taken the place of socio-political knowing. It expands, emancipatory knowing expands socio-political knowing to include the intention to empower marginalized populations as a part of achieving health and well-being. And this fits quite well with a Canadian perspective, because Canada in general, not just Canadian nurses, but Canadian policymakers, health policymakers, focused early with the Ottawa Charter on the social determinants of health. The Moodle site has a table from the Chin and Kramer textbook, and it details the key points about the various patterns of knowing in nursing if you're interested in looking at that. There is a general consensus in nursing that all the patterns of nursing are valuable and that each interacts with and supports the others. And there have been various types of knowing suggested, including unknowing, which you won't get into. Personal knowing is highly valued in general nursing. And through my experience teaching the undergraduate philosophy program, I know that personal knowing is particularly valued in psychiatric nursing. And for good reason. In fact, Chin and Kramer identify the therapeutic relationship as an expression of personal knowing into practice, which points to how important personal knowing is in psych nursing. Chin and Kramer, in their work, they go beyond a discussion of patterns of knowing to argue that nursing knowledge is always in service of nursing practice. Chin and Kramer refer to praxis, so P-A-R-X-I, as the desired end product of knowing in nursing. Now praxis is a word that's used not just in nursing. I put up another article for your reference, if you like, by Kagan, Smith, Cowling, and Chin, defining praxis in nursing. I've paraphrased it to say that praxis is a mutual process of coming to know and taking action with the intention of bringing about change. So praxis is an inseparable mutual process or processes of coming to know, taking action with the intention of bringing about change. Knowledge, practice, change. 1. The 2 readings point to two main conclusions that I choose to take from them. Knowledge, nursing, I should say, is knowledge in action for change. Even if the change is comfort in dying, the transition, the change from life to death. Relationship is the means by which nurses come to know. So nursing knowledge is knowledge in action for change, and relationship is the means by which nurses come to know. I think it's the means by which everything comes to know. It's the nature of knowing. Understanding relationships, seeing relationships. Now, bonus. She continues the search for to describe nursing-specific knowledge. She conducted a concept analysis. She uses Jacqueline Fawcett's method and concludes that nursing knowledge is deeply personal knowing. Wow. Based not on empiricism, although she doesn't rule out that nurses use empirical knowledge. They use empirical knowledge. But nursing knowledge is based on subjective experience within relationships and within contexts, within living contexts. Nursing knowledge is relational because nursing knowledge is not valid. It's not knowledge unless and until the knowledge interacts with clients and specific contexts. Nursing in action. Nurses recognize the distinction between scientific facts, which we perhaps will call empirical knowledge about a disease process, and the personal experience of living with the disease. We focus on the person's reactions to, experience with. This is particularly important in mental health because psychiatric knowledge is based on subjective knowledge. We don't have tests. It's based on what people say and how behavior is interpreted. Nurses integrate knowledge from many sources into action because there's no point to it without action. Even if that action is an increase in meaning, someone being able to develop, to make sense of their distressing illness experience. That's action as well. Nurses are aware of and reflect upon experience and reactions, leading to understanding and meaning, and to transformation in knowledge. This is what Bonus found. Psychiatric nursing, particularly recovery-oriented psychiatric nursing, the client is fully involved. Psychiatric nurses facilitate clients to recognize and share their knowledge. Psychiatric nurses share professional knowledge with clients and collaborate with clients to co-construct understanding and plans for action. Bonus's work demonstrates that relationship is the lens and the means through which nurses come to know, and that nursing is knowledge in action. Doan and Varco, Canadians, I believe, are working out of British Columbia, I think. Under the readings that I have referenced for myself, not a required reading, Doan and Varco, 2008. I don't suggest you read it. It'll make your eyes bleed. So 2005 is much more approachable. They are philosophers, they're ethicists, and major philosophers in psychiatric nursing, in nursing, I should say. But I find their ideas appealing to psychiatric nursing. In this article that I assigned for you to read, they use the philosophical school called pragmatism, which I didn't know a lot about until I started reading Doan and Barco a few years ago. They use pragmatism as a way to resolve the perceived theory-practice gap in nursing. They approach nursing knowledge from both an epistemological and an ontological perspective, knowing and being. Nursing knowledge is always connected to nursing practice. In pragmatism, there is a maxim, the pragmatist maxim, which says that the validity of a theory or a proposition is judged by its consequences in practice. Real practice, real lives, which is different than controlled scientific experiments. Doan and Barco describe how the pragmatist maxim can be used to understand how nursing knowledge must be constructed within nursing actions. That is, patients' responses, interpersonal relationships, particular contexts. It is situated knowledge. Using the lens of relationship as a way of knowing means that knowledge and theory are developed within practice relationships and are tested through the pragmatic consequences in people's lives and in psychiatric nursing practice. Pragmatic inquiry, which is a term that Doan and Barco use, leads to more effective and just practice because pragmatic inquiry considers the realities of people's lives. Theories are valuable tools for nurses in practice because truth is a verb. It's something we live, something we do. And they're quoting Berman here. Truth involves being present within ourselves and within our relationships with others. There are two main points I take from this article as well. Theory and practice mutually influence each other. They are always in active relationship to each other. And knowledge is a relational process. That is, we come to know within webs of relationships. We come to know through attention to relationships. That's it. I think you'll find the readings this week easier to get through. And I hope to talk to some of you on Zoom. It's been really delightful to talk with people on Zoom and to share ideas. So if things aren't clear, you want to cement your own ideas, you want to understand how does this make sense to when I'm going to be doing my thesis. You're welcome to come to one of the 2 Zoom sessions. I'm also going to post a piece this week on how this course is useful to you in writing your final thesis, doing your final thesis, because that's not much point in taking it if it isn't. Okay. Enjoy.